Thursday, August 13th, and it's another edition of Cape and Today. Heather and I speak with Jeanne Hennessey. She's part of the Beauport Hospitality Group, and Elise and Tucker Smith of Cedar Rock Gardens. We haven't talked to them since Short and Sweet, Heather.
I know. Remember those days? We were all together in that little tiny studio, the old studio. I know.
That was fun. So anyway, Jeanne is going to lead us off today, and she's talking about how the entire hospitality group is thriving. Surprisingly, during these times, everything from the hotel and restaurant to the secondary restaurant, right, Seaport Grill, and now Beauport Cruises, the Princess, is back up and running again. But they do need all kinds of help front and back, and they are hiring right now. And here is Jeanne. Take it away.
Well, I think we talked previously about all of the sanitation and safety protocols that we put into place. We find that we do need to readjust continuously based on how our guests are reacting to our protocols and so forth. About, I would say 98% of our guests are just grateful that we're doing all that we're doing, you know, thanking us. You'll see in our reviews that I felt safer than I do at home, you know, and so forth. So we just say we're readjusting every day when we learn, oh, that's not going to work. As far as the restaurants go, we've been extremely busy. One night we had a 4-hour wait at Seaport Grill. People waited. They come, you know what they do? They come in, they put their name in, because we don't take reservations at Seaport Grill. They'll come put their name in. They'll go walk downtown. They'll, you know, wait for their text and 4 hours, an hour and 40 minutes one Monday at 1606 at the hotel. So again, we're fortunate because we have all of the deck space that accommodates a lot of people. People feel very safe out there. We're, you know, strict regarding our distance between tables, only 6 people at a table. It gets tricky sometimes because people are so excited to be out, they'll try table hopping, and, you know, our staff has to stop that. They can't be going to visiting their friends and everything, but the restaurants are doing very well, again, very busy. The hotel, we were at 100% last weekend. We are running at 100% on the weekends, which is fabulous. You know, midweek, it could be anywhere from 45 to 75% during the week. Still with restrictions. We don't go in to clean except if upon request. We'll drop off clean towels outside their room. We want to be in their guest room as little as possible to make them feel the distance. But people are anxious to get out. We have the toughest restriction we have is limited time on the roof. Because we want it to be fair to everybody, we have time slots for the roof. And that's really tough. We hate doing that to our guests. But at the same time, we'd really hate to have a guest not be able to enjoy the roof. So we do offer a discount if you would like to stay with us with no pool access. But other than that, a lot of people have commented that they don't even see the difference because everything's going seamlessly. These new restrictions have put in another kink. So we are not accepting any reservations from those states that are restricted. We've just, rather than be the person who makes the determination based on their documentation, and, you know, we're not going to enforce 14 days in their room for quarantine's sake, or, you know, rather than get into that, we have just decided not to accept any reservations for people from those states, with the exceptions that are outlined in Governor Baker's guidelines. Other than that, you know, all the folks who had reserved from those states, we've called them, we've given them their money back, and hope that they'll come back another time when everything has righted itself. So that's where we are.
I was going to ask where have people still been going to the hotel from all over? One thing I've noticed this year is a lot of my friends have been doing the staycation thing at the hotel.
Yes, we've had a lot of, I've always said locals, meaning, you know, Beverly, Salem. We have locals from Cape Ann, from Gloucester, from Rockport, who are coming in just because they want to get out of their house. You know, we have folks who come to work. So many folks are working from home. It's a beautiful place to work. In your room, you know, you have great Wi-Fi, you have, you know, beautiful view, it's serene. So we have folks who've come in just to work in our guest rooms. So yeah, but with the exception of the states who we can't, we had been receiving folks from Delaware, New Jersey, all up the mid-Atlantic coast, driving up because it's the drive market now. And people are driving further than they had, previously. Normally they'd say a 50-mile radius. Now they're talking hundreds of mile, 200-mile radius for the drive market because people just want to go. So that said, we're hoping that September and October will extend our summer here because people started so late. School's starting late, if at all. And we're hoping folks will continue to come up to Cape Ann and enjoy all that we have here that is outdoors, fresh air, things that people can do and feel safe and distant.
How have the guests been responding to the new restrictions?
By and large, but again, I'm going to use non-scientific. 98% of the folks are wonderful and thanking us. It's scary for a lot of people to come out, not knowing whether a hotel or a restaurant is going to take it seriously. So they thank us for having taken it seriously. Those 2%, it's difficult. It's a challenge for our team. Nobody wants to go up to somebody and, confront them about not wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. If someone's not wearing a mask, most of the time they say, oh my gosh, I forgot, or whatever. But then there's the person who says, I know my rights. You can't make me do that. And that really, it's unfortunate for our team because we're in the hospitality industry. We want to be hospitable. We don't want to be confronting people. So that's unfortunate.
So, Jeanne, I sort of would like to know how some of the logistics work. Like, for instance, valet parking. I assume you're not valet parking anymore?
We were not. Now we will do it upon request. Okay. And that is with gloves on and with distant from the guest. So, but few people are taking us up on that. Mostly it's self-parking.
And how about sort of monitoring the pool area? You've got wet towels, you've got people coming in. I've never heard anything that water, COVID is transmitted through water. But what are the rules around that?
We, up on the roof, we are we have chairs, it's spaced out, which is again, part of the reason why we can have so few people up there. Mm-hmm. So few people. I mean, but that helps us as far as policing it. We have more manpower up there now to just do just that. Unfortunately, again, I keep saying unfortunate because again, we're hospitality people. Our folks don't want to go up and say, time's up, you have to leave. Sorry, you can't walk over to the bar. You need to have a server come to you. Sorry, there's too many people in the hot tub. But that's what we do. We just have more manpower up there and policing it the whole time we're open.
Right. Well, I'm sure you still do a great job of making it feel gracious.
Well, that's the challenge. And so far, every comment that we've heard, almost every comment we've heard is just that. Some people don't like being told what to do. And that's too bad because we do have to think of everybody, not only all of our guests, but our team as well, the safety of our team. So we have to be strict with our rules.
Well, there's so many costs associated through, the entire economy with this virus, but it must be costly to transition every time there's a new order from the governor. And I'm sure you're watching really carefully as the governor is watching the state. So do you want to talk about what that feels like?
Again, another challenge. First of all, I have to say, I totally respect Governor Baker. I appreciate the way he's operating and that we do have to make adjustments. It's all, I think he's done a fabulous job. We are in tune every day on his talks and making the necessary adjustments, again, daily practically. There are so many costs associated with that, not only signage for the changes, the training of our team for the changes, more manpower for the changes, constantly. So we are trying to keep that a tight margin as best we can. And particularly having been closed for nearly 4 months, it's difficult. but again, I feel fortunate that we have had the business that we've had since we opened, and that's helping things. And it also helps things that to know that people are adhering to our policies and so forth. But our team, I know everybody in our industry is feeling this. We're short-staffed. Everybody in our industry is feeling the tug of now kids are going back to school. So the people we do have are already starting to go back to college. So we're short-staffed. We could certainly use a whole lot more people on board. But we're doing pretty well with the folks that we have, and trying to keep that budget as tight as we can.
And Jeanne, how is team morale these days?
Miraculous, it's brought everybody together. I haven't seen anything as far as, why are you making us do this? And this, they're working hard. They're the folks in the kitchen, the frontline staff, they are 60 hours a week, 6-7 days a week, just working their tails off, and always with a smile and always helping the other one out. It's great to see the teamwork come into play. Morale is good. It would be better if we could get some more folks on board. So if you know anybody, but yeah, morale is very good. And they appreciate the fact that these people are putting their trust in us, and that's real important to them. And they take pride in being trustworthy for these folks. So,
Jeanne, do you have a sense that the workforce is nervous about coming back to work? Do you think that's why it's hard to hire people?
No, a handful, yes, a handful. The unemployment benefits that had been given were, frankly, a lot of our team were receiving more money than they would if they worked. So, and they were very honest about that. They said, how can I turn down $600 extra a week? That was huge. And now that we'll see what happens with that. Now the college kids are leaving, so that's a separate problem. So, but that was definitely a huge part of our problem.
Mm.
Are there any programs coming up at the hotel, or can you do entertainment at all, or what? Are there anything like that going on now in the midst of summer?
Not in the midst of summer, no. We did start sailing the ship, the Beauport Cruise Lines, for dinner, but we're not allowed to have any live entertainment on board or in the restaurant at the moment. We're very busy anyway at the restaurants, so we don't want to just don't want to go there. We have one package that we're offering because we felt we should to healthcare workers. That's the only package that we have at the moment. We're looking forward to doing some nice promotions in September, October, again, to extend the season, where we are putting together a wellness package that will be very nice for folks to get away and, get the fresh air and take a private class, or you'll see those details coming shortly. So that's what we're trying to do. We're going to be putting together some exclusive packages to include our Cape Ann partners. So we have our eye on the fall, and we're hoping that we can extend all this into the fall and welcome all the folks to Cape Ann for many more months.
Very cool. Well, Jeanne, we appreciate all that you and the hotel, well, Beauport Group in general, is doing during these times. I've been at Seaport a bunch. I've been at the hotel a bunch whenever I can get in. And actually, the favorite thing I love about the hotel, too, is just the way they treat you at the door, just going into the hotel.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. And come out on the ship. We have lobster dinner Thursday and Saturday night. And it's tremendous. We've been getting a good amount of people out there just enjoying Gloucester Harbor.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's make a point to follow up once, I guess, maybe after Labor Day, when quote unquote tourist season ends around here.
Right.
I think you're right. I think it's going to extend into October this year.
Yes, let's hope. I mean, we don't have our Cape Ann Plein Air and all the festivals and everything, but we certainly have a lot to offer, you know, so we just got to get people outside.
So it's so great to hear how well the hotel and Seaport Grill are doing, but we need to emphasize that they still are struggling from the same issues that so many other businesses are, you know, trying to find, you know, labor. It's just that $600 a week has really affected them, and that may change. And then the costs of all these transitions, each time there's a different order. So it's still tough for businesses.
Yep, and it's cool to hear that the staff morale is still high too, despite everything that's going on. So hats off to the Beauport group for that. Now we are going to talk with Elise and Tucker. Heather, this was your interview. I couldn't make that one, but I love hanging out with those two. And I'm guessing that the farm is doing pretty well this summer too.
Local food is in.
Yeah, so at Cedar Rock Gardens, we have a nursery where we grow herb, vegetable, and flower seedlings for sale for people's gardens. And we're open to the public. We have a couple big accounts that we do grow for, such as the Boulevard in Gloucester. We do a lot of the flowers out there. And then we're open between mid-April, all the way up to the very end of August. So we're just sliding into our end of the season here in August. Right now we're doing self-serve at the nursery. So we've set that up in a really awesome way where you can come and shop and check out our produce refrigerator and pick up some fall seedlings and check yourself out. And currently we have a bunch of fall lettuces available, and we're doing scallions and radishes, kale, chard, broccoli, all that good stuff you can get in this time of year for winter harvest.
Nice.
And then the other half of our business is the farm, and we grow vegetables, herbs, and flowers for wholesale distribution, as well as a CSA, community supported agriculture, where people come once a week, every Wednesday, and pick up a half bushel basket full of produce. This past week, we had about 20 different kinds of vegetables that we had been harvesting fresh that people could pick from and fill their basket. And we grow using minimal tillage, all organic practices on 2 acres of land.
And where is that land?
And that land is at the home farm at 299 Concord Street, as well as a rented parcel down just over the Essex border, about a mile from the home farm.
Well, I want to get into how your business is doing, particularly that wholesale end. But first, let's go back to the winter. I know that for anyone who has a nursery or farms at all, winter is kind of quiet, but then you're sort of thinking and getting excited about the spring, which is your big ta-da moment. And things were a little bit different for you guys this winter, particularly in March. Do you want to talk about what it was like watching the pandemic unroll and then having to unroll and having to imagine starting your business in a different way?
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise around every corner for us. You know, not in a way that was game stopping, but in a way where we had to really be rethinking things kind of each week it turned into at some points. But yeah, you know, we were moving forward with all of our seeding. In January, we start seeding a lot of our perennials. And in February, we're bumping a lot of stuff up. We're seeding some of our annuals, such as snapdragons and sweet peas. And so by March, we were pretty seriously underway. And when the pandemic was hitting, we were trying to decide what would be the best possible scenario where we could still get people their plants, you know, or is this something that we shouldn't continue on with? Is this something people really, really need, or is it something that we're just doing because we are in business? And so we decided that in a pandemic state, there's going to be a lot of people that want to grow their own food. And so then it became even more important for us to figure out how to open and make sure that everything was as safe as we possibly could. So we seeded a lot more than we were originally planning, just because we figured people would be planting, which was the case. And then it got super serious. We had a lot of communication with our staff, a lot of communication between Tucker and I to make sure we were doing everything as safe as we possibly could. So we eventually decided to shut down any in-person shopping and just do online sales, which was a pretty serious undertaking, as we have, over 500 different types of plants that we sell. And so, in our tomato category, we have about 36 varieties of tomatoes. And in our pepper category, we have, about 28 varieties of peppers. So we had to figure out how to get all that online with little descriptions for people so they know exactly what they're getting, categorize it as spicy, sweet, get pictures, descriptions. And so it was, about 200 hours of our time in like 1 week of also the busiest time of our year, seeding, transplanting, and caring for the greenhouses. When that's all we're generally doing, that takes up 13-hour days. So Tucker and I were coming home around 9, working on the computer till around 1 a.m. and going back to work around 6. It was a lot. It was definitely a lot getting everything up and running. And we were working with this wonderful, wonderful website designer, Meredith Paulhouse, who really kicked everything up a notch in terms of usability and ease of access for the consumer. And she was just wonderful assisting us. But of course, she's great at the design effort, but Tucker and I still had to do all of the intellectual knowledge that was on that website. So
you had to write a book about tomatoes and peppers, basically, and everything else in that time.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it was very user-friendly, and the descriptions of each plant were really helpful and very clear.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Yeah, so we were afraid that it would sort of deter people because a lot of people like to look at the plants they're purchasing. Of course, it's a physical item. It's alive. You're going to be tending to it for months and months on end in your own garden. It's just such a nice thing to come and look and see and touch. And so that was definitely one of our roadblocks in thinking about how it was all going to go down. But, our community is just so amazing, and everybody was so supportive. And even because of our extreme amount of extra work on top of our regular crazy season, we weren't able to answer as many emails or calls or questions, and people were still so patient with us, which was really awesome. And it kind of went off, basically without a hitch from the consumer's point of view. We had
pretty much every week we would come up with a 2-week plan.
Yeah.
Every week.
A different 2-week plan.
Different 2-week plan. We'd have a full meeting. What are we going to do this week and next week? And then the next week we'd get hit with all these new COVID facts and restrictions and different emotions from employees as well as customers, and trying to tailor it, because there's a whole new frontier, as I'm sure, for every business. And so we are constantly re-engineering and re-evolving our system over that period of time.
Yeah, I have to ask, did it change the way you grew at all or farmed?
No, in terms of like logistics, keeping all employees 6 feet away, we would have no more than 2 employees per building, per greenhouse. So logistically, that spread everybody out. As we talked about, we commute down to a field to harvest our produce and plant the produce. And so as we commute now, we're only 2 people per vehicle, and then masks in the vehicle. And now when we're out in the field and far, over 6 feet away from each other, we don't require our employees to wear masks, especially when it's over 90 degrees. But it logistically changed that way. But luckily for us, we're already outside. We're in open air buildings. There's good airflow, and we felt very fortunate to be in the business that we're in, where really it's limited risk in terms of the way that we do business. I mean, we're working in the middle of a field.
And you no longer are requiring people to order online. So
Correct.
Now you have that system set up in case we need to go back to it, right?
Yeah.
But people can actually drive up to Cedar Rock Gardens and self-serve and purchase plants and vegetables, or do the CSA.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And before the self-serve, we had it set up. People could come shop in person, and we had our pathways were widened between tables of plants, and we had signs to help people look around for things. So people weren't wandering about as they generally did. It was more of kind of a assisted, this is how you're going to walk, and this is where you get to spend a little bit of time. And so the checkout booth had a lot of rules around it, since that was more of an enclosed area. And definitely everybody's required to wear masks. Even though we're outside, it's still, especially on the busier days, you just don't want to put anybody at risk or make anybody uncomfortable.
Right. And how did the theory work out that people would be interested in growing their own food? And you planted extra. Did that play through?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that was an evolving theory as well. I mean, in the spring, it was just records amount of people for us coming to the nursery and wanting plants and plants and plants. And so we could see it, as we all got more into the season of COVID, we'll call it. There was more and more customers coming and more excitement growing around gardening. A lot of first-time gardeners, which we think is just great for our own culture and for our own food security here on the North Shore. If everybody can start growing more of their own food, we're going to be a lot more of a secure food network.
Definitely. And it was, in that respect, though, it was a little bittersweet because there were so many new gardeners, which was wonderful to see. And there was so much wonderful energy about growing. People were so happy about growing their own food, but there was that many extra people calling, emailing, Facebook messaging with questions, and it was hard to keep up with because we're a very small business, and we couldn't necessarily just go out and get more people to work for us in that system of COVID. Everybody was definitely hunkering down, so it was bittersweet. And now I'm getting back to some of these emails from like April, May. How are things going? Are you okay?
Yeah, those sweet peas are gone by now.
Yeah, exactly.
Elise had a great quote last night, which was, if you don't take care of plants, they'll die. If you don't take care of emails, they're not going to die.
That's a great quote. That's really funny. Well, I'd also like to ask about that wholesale side of your business. I know, for instance, fishermen were really hurt by the fact that restaurants were not open. So did you feel any of that in your wholesale business?
So Tucker had mentioned the CSA part of the farm, and we've done that for a couple of years now. And last year we had around 67 families as a part of our CSA. And this year, we signed people up in January and February. And so when restaurants were closing, to hedge our business, we upped our CSA to 157 people. And so we added quite a bit of vegetable consuming in that respect, thinking wholesale was going to go really way down. But actually, the restaurants that buy from us and the retail places that buy from us have been putting in bigger orders than ever before.
Oh, that's great.
Wild. Yeah, because a lot of them figured out how to do takeout, or they just, they were doing catering or whatever, made themselves feel safe, and they were still giving as much support as they possibly could to us, which was amazing.
That's wonderful. That's really great. So last question, how do you feel the local food community is doing in general? I know you guys are, integral to that community. How do you feel how are people feeling?
I think people are generally feeling great. We have a retail produce stand in our checkout booth, and we've done that for the past couple of years, and it's generally kind of been our neighborhood comes, and it's sort of a self-serve honor system. You come, get your produce, put the money in the box type of situation. And so we've continued that this year, and we've had a hard time keeping the fridge stocked because so many people have now heard about it, which is wonderful. And that was the point of it. And now it's sort of awesome. We have these kind of regulars that we've never had before that come every Thursday morning and grab their produce out of the fridge. And so that's been cool to not only support, our CSA families are such a wonderful avenue, but also now there's sort of the general public is coming and grabbing food. But I think, people are really interested in knowing exactly where their food is coming from and having it be as local and fresh as possible. And, with this COVID, a lot of people are kind of counting how many times their food is touched. which is definitely one of those situations that drives you local anyways. So that's been really nice.
As well as people have more time to cook, you know, so I think a lot more people are spending time cooking at home and really value the quality ingredients and are really diving into cooking with stuff that they haven't cooked with before.
That's really true.
I think as it's been interesting to see, you know, the restaurants have been ordering more food this season, but also like regular customers and CSA membership is way up as well. And all the energy around all of the food that's going out is extremely positive. People are just so excited to get home and cook it, and spending a lot more meals at home than at restaurants has definitely helped our business in that end of it.
That's great to hear. So anything else you want people to know about Cedar Rock Gardens before we go?
Ooh, I don't know.
You can show off the puppies.
I know. I just
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I just
Let's
think
grab them. We got to give everybody.
Yeah, we got to see a couple of puppies.
I think people are just people are doing so awesome. I think keep up the great work and, you know, support our community. We're such a vibrant community with so many talented makers, doers, growers, and it's just been so wonderful to see so many people come out of the woodwork and yeah, I think Cedar Rock is so happy to be here for all of them, and we're doing our best. We're a little tired this time of year, but we're still here.
You're both still smiling, and that's really nice. So people don't know that little whimpering we were hearing earlier were the puppies. There's, oh my gosh, all three.
We got Georgie, Frankie, and Blanco.
Oh, they are so beautiful, so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for showing off the puppies and telling us all that's going on at Cedar Rock Gardens.
Thank you for having us, Heather. Enjoy the
good
day.
to see you.
Hey, I'll see you again soon.
Yes, bye.
Isn't it nice to end a show with puppies? Cute puppies. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Can't go wrong there. Nope. Great stuff. All right, join us tomorrow on Cape Ann Today. Heather and I speak with, as always, Taylor Bradford of the Gloucester Daily Times and Erica Brown of the Manchester Cricket to cover all things happening local. We will see you then.